A very good morning to you and a warm welcome to the Wanderers Taxi Rank in Johannesburg CBD. We're about a stone's throw away from Park Station and we're shining a spotlight on this taxi industry. It's an absolutely crucial sector in South Africa's society as well as our economy. About 400,000 people are employed directly or indirectly in this particular sector, and we believe statistics would indicate a good 68% of South Africans use the taxi in one way or another. And yet we still see lawlessness abound on various aspects, either road infrastructure, or not infrastructure at least, but the taxis themselves being dilapidated, customer service leaving much to be desired. I'm joined now by the Transport Minister as we head into the festive season, just to take a look at the state of the taxi industry. Minister, it's always a pleasure to have you with us. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Ayanda, and thank you very much to SABC, and good morning to the listener, to the viewers.
As important as the sector is, I alluded to that in the opening, we still see it heavily unregulated. Government has tried taxi recapitalization among a number of programs to try and bring in some sort of order here. Where are we failing?
The biggest challenge that we have right now is the reality that as an industry, we haven't as yet been able to bring them under strict control. I'm happy to indicate that we have finally been able to engage with the industry, and we have resolved that early next year we need to be able to continue re-establishing what we call the National Working Group, which would be a joint initiative between the taxi industry and government to look at all the facets of the industry and to look at how we can be able to deal with the big challenges related to the lack of compliance, the lack of adherence to regulations, in particular by the drivers, but also how do we hold the operators responsible. I'm happy to indicate that we have even agreed that the minister and the industry will have bi-monthly, which means every second month having meetings where we will be engaging with regard to how we strengthen this particular industry. One of the key things that we have resolved is that the taxi industry is here to stay, and it is important that the operators as well as those who are working in the industry take themselves serious. One of the things that we have also identified is the fact that because of lack of training of the drivers and those who are working in the industry, we find the lack of customer care, the terrorizing, I would say, of the passengers, not treating the passengers as important stakeholders. And we would also want to arrive at a point where we can have a passenger charter where the passengers would know what their responsibilities are. We have had a commitment from the industry about their role on road safety as well.
If I may interrupt, Minister, what you've just listed now are the behavioral changes that you would like to see. We do know that this is a matter of life and death, quite literally, because an accident involving a taxi, as you mentioned to me off air, can lead to the fatality of about 18 people, as opposed to a sedan with 4 casualties maximum there. So it's absolutely crucial. But we've heard all this before. We've tried to engage the taxi industry. You've had successes, but we're still seeing very little change, or the rate of transformation in the industry is very, very slow. What are we going to do differently?
One of the first things that we have identified is that we are busy with the amendment of the National Land Transport Act. One of the inputs that the taxi industry itself has made is with regard to the role of the industry with regard to the management of the ranks, the management of the routes, as well as the other key relevant regulatory areas that they need to see. We also agreed that in the new year, we need to review the amendments that have been already made. Good for us because the Cabinet did send back the National Land Transport Amendment Bill for us to be able to look at other facets that were not necessarily included in the draft as presented by the department. So it actually gives us an opportunity to go back to the industry to say, what is it that we can bring in? One of the things that they have identified is that the law does not speak to the role of the associations. And they were indicating to us that the associations are actually making money out of membership. And that is why you find a situation where everybody who buys a vehicle can go into and operate, because the associations wants to see their members increasing. One one of the things that we also identified as a department is to say we need to do an audit of all these associations, all the organizations that are operating within the taxi industry, because we need to know how many vehicles do we have, which ones are actually by law, because we also have situations where people just go and lease a vehicle and come and rank, and that creates the problems. We have also identified the issues related to route management as well as to taxi rank management. Those are some of the things that we have said we need to look into.
I have a feeling a multidisciplinary approach is going to be necessary here. Just taking a look at the taxi rank where we are today, talking about rank management, it is filthy. I spent about a good 15, almost 20 minutes looking for a bathroom. So that to me also says, a human rights issue. If a woman goes through a time of the month, where are they going to go while waiting for a taxi here? So some serious questions that need to be answered. We are hoping to speak to some of those taxi associations. We're going to speak to other stakeholders here. Taxi Magazine and the owner and founder thereof is also coming up. So do stay with us throughout the course of the show. Thank you so much.